speaker. So, our next speaker is Honorable Thomas Hoon from Singapore, and he will be sharing with us this morning on overcoming barriers in relationship, overcoming barriers in relationship. So, Honorable Thomas Hoon is a highly accomplished sales and business development management executive with over 2 decades of experience in the telecommunication and IoT industries across the APAC region, embracing Bridges Tracy's philosophy that attitude drives 80% of sales success. Honorable Thomas has cultivated a mindset of positivity, cheerfulness, and good orientation throughout his career. His journey begins in startups, where he honed his adaptability and problem-solving skills, securing high-profile clients while bootstrapping 3 ventures. His entrepreneurship spirit attracted funding from the Economic Development Board of Singapore, validating his innovative approach, transitioning to multinational corporation. Honorable Thomas excelled in sales leadership and account management, earning accolades for individual and team performances. He mastered corporate structures and strategy planning, achieving over $100 million in sales. With over a decade of global exposure, he possesses a deep understanding of diverse cultures and markets, facilitating effective communication and negotiation across various backgrounds. Fluent in multiple languages, including English, Mandarin, Thai, Hokkien, Cantonese, and Spanish. Mr. Thomas leverages his linguistic prowess to build meaningful network and engage stakeholders globally. His core competencies lie in problem-solving, entrepreneurship mindset, team leadership, making him a valuable asset in driving business growth and fostering collaborative success. So, many more I can talk about Honorable Thomas Hoon. Or if you can read it on the screen, that would be more helpful so that we don't waste much of his time. So allow me now to welcome Honorable Mr. Thomas Hoon from Singapore to share with us this morning. Thank you, sir, and you are welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Queens, for the detailed introduction. If you could, can you give me the share host right so I can share my screen? I got some slides available for this topic of discussion.
Yes, you can.
Okay, let me see. Share. Okay. Just want to make sure everybody can see my screen now.
Yes, we can see your screen. Overcoming
Excellent.
barriers in relationship. Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So I'll start off. A very good Monday morning, everyone. It's still morning 10:06, 10:07 in the morning. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am given this topic by Dr. Queen to talk about relationship. Relationship is something that we have all experienced, whether is it relationship with our family, relationship with our friends, relationship with our loved ones, relationship with our colleagues. So relationship, as you can see, is the fundamental relationship between humans to humans. So, but as you can see, relationships are complicated too. It can be tricky anywhere in the world. So today, I'll bring in my Asian perspective of how relationships can be managed. How can we actually manage things like cultural expectations, family dynamics, and the way we communicate? If you ever feel a little bit lost in communicating in Asia, you are not alone, because Asia itself comprises of 59 countries, and many of these countries have multiple cultures and languages. Just for India itself, basically, if you have been to India, you realize there's 2,000 over dialects which is spoken in the country. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution or theory in which I'm going to give it to you, but I'm going to give you an overview. How do you actually manage this relationship across Asia in general? So over the next few slides, we'll explore some of the most common roadblocks faced by people in Asian relationships. Whether we'll talk about strategies to overcome them, we'll equip you with the tools to strengthen your communication and build a relationship that thrives on your unique cultural background. So whether if you are just starting out or you wish to find something valuable today, just sit tight. I'm going to go through in the next few slides. But before that, I want to bring you to my next slide. How many of you have actually caught this movie before, Crazy Rich Asians? Probably, I would reckon 50-60% of the people here that have probably seen this. So this story actually explores the complexities of relationships within Asian families. If I actually watched the movie before, Rachel, the American professor, actually faced disapproval from Nick's wealthy Singaporean family due to her social status and background. So the story highlights the clash between love and family obligation, which again is the relationship that we're talking about. So Nick is expected to prioritize his family business over his personal life. So being in his family, he's actually expected to behave in a certain way. So that actually affects how her relationship with his mother, as well as with his fiancée to be, Rachel. So in the movie, Rachel actually attempts to keep Nick from marrying her, but ultimately the story, at the end of the day, the story emphasized the importance of compromise, understanding, and with Rachel's demonstrating her respect for Nick's family through her actions. So if you have time after this talk this morning, go and watch the movie. It's very beneficial in the understanding of relationship in the Asian context. So the cornerstone of strong relationships. What are the cornerstones of strong relationships? We all know strong relationships are very important. They bring us joy, they bring us support, they bring us a sense of belonging. But let's be honest, we all know that a perfect world isn't out there. A strong relationship isn't always there. And it's not easy. It takes your work, a lot of work, a lot of effort, and sometimes a little bit of understanding of cultural differences. Think of it like building a house. You may use flimsy materials and skip laying the foundation, right? So communication is the foundation of all relationship. It involves the open and honest exchange of thoughts and feelings that bridge and allows us to connect with people around us. It's easier said than done though, because in Asian cultures, there's a lot of emphasis on social harmony. It's great to avoid conflict. Like me, I'll try to avoid conflict as much as I can. I do not want to be confrontational. But sometimes being in this behavior leads to more indirect communication style. So instead of telling you directly, I don't like you, maybe I show in my non-verbal communication that I don't like you, or subtly hinting that I don't like a certain situation. So in the next few slides, we'll explore how we Asians do and how does these factors actually impact relationship building in Asia. The first barrier, saving face, the concept of saving face. Let's imagine a scenario. You're actually in a family dinner. Your aunt's cooking a dish that isn't a Michelin star contender, But in Asian context, you might be forced to smile and say, "Hey auntie, this is delicious." Even your taste buds are telling you something else. Why? Because criticizing the food or even telling honest feedback about the food can actually be seen, can actually be seen as disrespectful and bring shame to your family. So this is what I call the essence of face saving. It's avoiding situations that might bring dishonor or embarrassment upon yourself or your loved ones. This can be a powerful motivator, but in a relationship, this can also be seen as a barrier to open communication. So think about it from a perspective of lovers, partner to partner communication. If your partner is constantly worried about saying the wrong thing, they might hold back from expressing their true feelings. Maybe they are uncertain about certain aspect of the relationship, but they are afraid to bring it out because of fear of causing a fight or hurting your feelings. So this bottled up frustration can eventually lead to resentment and a breakdown in communication. So we have seen the problem, the barrier of face saving. With every problem, there's always a solution. So what's the solution to saving face? We can overcome saving face by the statement of I. What is the statement of I? We have talked about how cultural values like saving face. So the statement of I, instead of pointing fingers and say, I feel lonely, for example, I'll give you an example. I feel lonely, you work late, versus you never spend time with us. Based on these two statements, what do you think will be more hurtful? Obviously, it's the latter statement. So the statement of I allow us to express our feelings in a way that is honest and respectful. So imagine you're a little down and your partners has been working a lot lately. So instead of telling your partner that you never spend time with us, you change it in another way to tell her or him, I'm feeling lonely when you work late. This because if you actually start blaming them, you'll put your partner in a defensive position, which totally shuts down communication. In any situation, whether it's business or personal, you do not want that to happen. So the I statement, I feeling lonely when you work late. It would be nice to have some quality time together in the evenings. This focuses on your feelings and opens the door for conversation about solutions. And back to example of our favorite auntie. Just now, I was telling you the auntie doesn't cook too well. So how can we use the statement of I to actually tell the auntie? So instead of telling the auntie, hey, your food is terrible, can we just eat out next time? This might cause offense and hurt to your auntie. Instead, you actually can tell them, I appreciate you. I always love you cooking for us. But sometimes I miss trying out new restaurants, new food. Perhaps we can alternate between home cooked meals and eating out. By using the statement of I concept, you actually acknowledges your auntie kindness while expressing your own desire for variety. So you can see the difference. So I statements help navigate sensitive communication and keep an open and respectful communication. Remember, when you are dealing with people to people, it's all fostering understanding and connection. So we talk about saving face. The next thing which is predominant in an Asian culture is filial piety. You'll be wondering, filial piety is actually a good trait. Why is it a barrier in communication or relationships in Asia? Respecting our elders is a beautiful tradition in many Asian culture. It's about honoring those who came before us and showing them gratitude for their sacrifices. So this value is known as filial piety and can be a powerful force for good, strengthening family bonds and fostering a sense of community. But sometimes Filial piety can also present challenges in our romantic relationships or our relationships with another person. Let's face it, our significant others don't always see eye to eye when to our parents or extended family. This can be true when it comes to expectations and traditions. So let's bring back our favorite auntie again. We all love our auntie's special dish. This labor of love meals overflowing with flavor and tradition. But let's be honest, they might not be the best of the cuisine out there. So imagine in a scenario in which you bring your loved one to eat your auntie food and your auntie actually say decline the second helping, or even suggesting next time let's just go to a restaurant instead of cooking. So this situation might put you in a tough spot. In one part of the equation, you want to be respectful of your partner's preference. But the other part of the equation, filial piety actually plays an important role, and you do not want to seem disrespectful or hurting your auntie who has spent hours preparing the meal. So now you can see filial piety is an issue or barrier, is a barrier for good relationship in an Asian context. But with every problem, we have a solution. So what's the solution? Open communication with both partner and parents. So first of all, explain to your family how much this cooking means to you. And it's a way that they show love. Listen to their perspective too, because a good open communication is a two-way communication. Maybe they are trying out new dish. Maybe your auntie perhaps wanted you to be happy. That's why they keep inviting you and your loved ones to a meal. So try to understand their perspective. Talk to your parents, talk to your auntie. Make sure you can suggest to them instead of cooking whatever which is acceptable in our culture. Perhaps we can learn new dish to cook something which your loved ones is actually interested in eating. So perhaps instead of cooking an Indian curry, perhaps the next time you can learn how to cook a pasta. At the same time, also you can invite your loved one perhaps to cook this dish together so that they have the joy of helping each other and learning new recipes together. By doing that way, you are actually bridging your loved ones and your parents closer together to create a harmonious situation. So the key takeaway for this slide is communication is the key and overcoming challenges related to filial piety. Don't be afraid to have open conversation. Listen to all viewpoints and find creative solutions that work for everybody involved. Next, gender roles. Traditional gender roles can lead to unequal expectations. Let's face it, traditional gender roles, we have all seen it play it out. The expectations of a woman in an Asian context is to probably takes all housework or childcare, while the man focuses on his career. These expectations is very common in Asia and perhaps in many parts of the world too. But of course, we coming from our perspective, this isn't always the case because things are slowly changing. Traditionally, roles can still have some problems in our relationship. Imagine this scenario. Sarah, a high-powered lawyer, just landed a huge promotion. She's thrilled, but she's also overwhelmed because between work deadlines and late nights, and the house is still in a mess, and she's always taking a dinner takeout for every day in a row. Her partner doesn't seem interested in a promotion in her work and just say, "Oh, honey, you must be tired," but offer no solution. So given these expectations of a gender role within a family, you definitely can see a lot of problem, a lot of frustration for Sarah. One way she's trying to hard to build her career, but on the other way, she's feeling also solely responsible for the family. David also feel unappreciated of her long hours and she's not contributing to the housework. So you can see how disagreement and resentment between the couple easily building up. This is just one example of how traditional gender roles can create an imbalance in a relationship. It can leave one partner feeling burnt out and unsupported, while the other feeling unrecognized for the contribution. Even so, the contributions are different. So this is the problem, and how can we solve this problem? By having an open communication. Sit down together, have an honest conversation about expectations. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Maybe the husband prefer washing dish, while the wife prefer doing the laundry. So compromising is the key. Try to create a chore chart where it works for you as a couple. It doesn't have to be a 50-50 split, as long as both parties are comfortable. So remember, life throw curveballs. Maybe we can get slammed at work one week and the partner's getting sick. So be the partner that is flexible and supportive. Chip in wherever you can and don't be afraid to ask for help. It'll be nice if you return to home seeing someone asking, "Hey honey, would you mind taking over the dish? I'm swamped today." A simple statement like this can go a long way in a relationship. The next barrier, economic pressures. No matter where you are in the world, the financial pressures and economic stability can be a real barrier to a happy and healthy relationship, whether is it in Asia or whether is it anywhere else in the world. Think about it. Maybe one partner comes from a well-off family, while the other is working their way through school and juggling multiple jobs. Or perhaps you both started your careers, but one of you has a lot of student loan or debts. So the differences in financial situations can lead to disagreement and tension. Imagine a husband has a high-paying job and wants to splurge on a luxurious vacation every year. The wife, who might be a teacher, might feel uncomfortable with spending with such extravagances, especially if he is worried about saving for a down payment for a house. So here's one thing. Money is always a loaded topic, but it doesn't have to be a relationship breaker. And the solution, once again, have an open and honest communication. Schedule a time where you can sit down with your partner and have a frank conversation about your finances. Be transparent about your income, debt, financial goals. Talk about your spending habits and what's important to each of you. Maybe both of you dream about going to traveling around the world, but you can agree more budget-friendly trips for now and prioritizing saving for bigger adventures in the future. So remember, communication is a two-way street. Be willing to listen to your partner's concern and find a common ground. Perhaps you can work together and create a budget together for allocating money for this kind of spendings. Another tip, focus on common shared goals. Maybe you want to buy a home together. Maybe you want to start a family together. Have a clear vision for the future so that both of you can navigate financial challenges as a team. So let me wrap up the conversation of building strong relationships in Asia by running through a few points that I mentioned earlier. Number one, communication is very important, if not the most important. Just like that favorite dish that you always love that require the right spices. A strong relationship needs open and honest communication. Don't be afraid to express your thoughts and feelings directly. But remember, during my presentation, culture influences does play a huge role, especially in Asia. Concepts like saving face, filial piety are deeply ingrained in Asian culture. So respecting these values, show your partner that you understand their background, you are making an effort to understand their background. Open communication is the key here again. Next, always discuss and talk things through openly. Discuss and agree on shared responsibilities and expectations. What does your housework look like in a relationship? How will you handle the finance? Don't be afraid to have this kind of conversation, even they may seem uncomfortable in the beginning. And last but not least, celebrate your unique backgrounds. Asia is a beautiful tapestry of cultures, tradition, and perspectives. Embrace your richnesses that each of you bring to the relationship. Learn from each other's customs and traditions. This diversity can be a source of strength and connection in your relationship. Remember, building a strong relationship actually takes time and effort. If you follow these takeaways and being open in the communication and compromise, you can navigate any challenges and build a relationship that thrives, whether is it in your love or in your professional relationship. So with that, I came to my last slide. I just want to quickly run through my background. 20 years of building business in and relationships in APAC. I worked and stayed overseas for more than 11 years. I speak a total of 5 different languages. I have so far bootstrapped 3 startups in green transport, digital currency, and international business, and is currently on my 4th of bringing students and businesses to learn AI and tech and sustainability from top-tier Chinese companies. I've been mentoring Nanyang Poly on entrepreneurship since 2006 and mentors for founders of business in Hong Kong Science and Research University. Follow me on LinkedIn so I can crack the code with you together on China, sales, motivation, management, entrepreneurship, and technology. I'm a LinkedIn top voice for all these different subjects. Do follow me if you can. And last but not least, the key takeaway, good relationships don't just happen. They take time, patience, and 2 people willing to face any obstacle that is thrown at them. With this, I finish my presentation and I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much for presenting your valuable points this morning. It's very, very important because these are the issues that we face in any relationship. It could be in corporate relationship, family relationship, and it could be just general or professional relationship. And this is very key, valuable point that we need to all bear in mind when we are building and maintaining our relationship. And I want to say thank you so much for sharing this. You can put your slides down, please.
Okay, stop sharing. Yep.
Okay, I want you to throw more light on overcoming economic expectation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there any questions that are specific to
Okay,
that?
so in that area, I know we can talk about the budget, yes, and sometimes we can talk about also joint savings or joint bank account. So I would like you to explain more about the budget and also the joint account. Because
Sure.
sometimes, I mean, like you said, it could bring barriers and it could bring any challenges in that area. So if you can explain more about the budget and also the shared account.
Okay. I would like to bring my personal experience
Okay, sir.
of dating women of different nationalities. Based on my understanding, if you are to marry a Japanese, so the way how a Japanese family works is whatever salary that you have for that particular month, 100% actually goes to the wife. So so for example,
Wow.
if I want to go out and dine with my friends, I need to go to my wife. Hey wife, can I have some spare cash for tonight so I can go drinking with my friends? So this is a kind of situation that we are facing. Scenario one. Scenario two, perhaps it's more common in places like Singapore and Malaysia. Both of both the couple will actually have a shared joint account, so they'll come together to have some shared objectives and have an idea of how you want to achieve these shared objectives. Because Singapore, Malaysia is more westernized, so we are more skewed towards a westernized way of thinking. Then I would like to bring into the third scenario my China, because I've been staying in China for the past 11 years. My current wife is also from China. So my relationship with her is I'll give her X percentage of my salary or earnings to her, and she'll decide how she's going to spend this money. But should there be any big ticket purchases like house, cars, I'm actually expected to pay for it. And in certain scenarios, the guys are expected to take care of the female's family, extended family too. For example, my wife's parents, my wife's brothers. If in a situation in which they are not doing very well. So you can see three different countries, three different way of doing things with regards to economic.
Wow, wow, wow. It's very good to understand. I mean, to know this is very, very important because also in our areas, um, we also share. But I think in where I come from Africa, we don't. I mean, the sharing is not common. You know, the sharing is not common. And what we try to do instead of this, like you said, give 100% or something to the wife. No, we won't do that. We just give them a little bit of pocket money. What
Okay.
about in a case where the wife is working? I mean, both wife and husband are working. Do we
Um,
still, in your area, I mean, if you can use your area as an example, so how do you do that? Do you still share the 100% thing or something? How do you do that?
in the three examples that I given,
Yes.
if the wife is working, then for example in the Japanese context, perhaps you need not share your money with them.
Okay.
But the reason why I mentioned that sharing the money with them, because in many of my friends who from Japan, basically once they get married, they decide to actually change their role to a housemaker instead of working. So
Okay.
that's the cultural belief that they do it that way.
Mm.
Singapore wise, everything is equally split, probably 50-50. So when the wife is working, when the wife is working, both of them contribute to a joint account. So should there be any spending required? For example, buying a home, a car, or going on holidays, it's all taken from the joint account. As for in the case of China, whether the wife is working or not working, we are still expected to give this money, because this money is like for it's like an installment plan to thank the parents for raising the girls up. So how the wife going to spend the money is up to her.
And what about the children?
Children basically is a separate fund. So you have to keep
Okay.
a separate fund to take care of the children.
Right, right. Now I understand it better. Thank you so much for that. In that another area of in another area, thank you so much for clarifying that part. But what about the area where the man is not working and the woman is working?
Interesting. To be honest, I have friends which are like that too, but
Okay.
but they are not very common, especially in the Asian context.
Yeah.
So in the event, actually, I think in Asian context, or anywhere in the world, a marriage is a union of two people coming together. So there's certain responsibilities in which one is expected to do. So in love and sickness, right? If I remember one of the one of the thing correctly. So when the man is not working, the wife is actually supposed to take over the role temporarily of helping out the household. Why I mentioned the word temporarily? Because the cultural expectations is still for a man to make the living for the house, to earn the living for the house. So there might be times in which there are difficulties due to unexpected, unforeseen circumstances. But in the long run, the man is still expected to continue to make a living, to make money for the house.
Okay. I think you got it right there. Thank you so much. Now, the take home, we've done, we've tackled this issue of the man is working, the woman is working, they share this one together. That's all right. What is your own inspiration to give to them if any of them are not working and they are being faced with bills or even being frustrated? Because sometimes when something like that is frustrating the couple, especially the man, it might lead to violence in the family. It might lead to violence and other things like that because of the frustration. So before you now finish up today, I want you to give them the word of inspiration to encourage them in this area.
Okay, from my personal perspective, there's no problems that cannot be solved in the world. Because a marriage is a union of two persons coming together, it's always important. Like my presentation I mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned it many times. The key is to actually have an open and honest communication. It's not an insistence that your idea is right or her idea is wrong. It's all coming together to find a common ground to solve the problem. Ultimately, you want to move the relationship forward, not backwards. Bringing myself into the picture, I'm vulnerable too. I'm giving this speech about relationship, but I myself, early part of my life, hasn't been able to manage my relationship correctly. That's why it led to a divorce with my wife, my first relationship. And from what I learned from that relationship is we are not communicating enough because we are always working. We spend a lot of time on our career. My wife is a high-flying executive. My ex-wife is a high-flying executive in a bank. I'm a high-flying executive in an IT company. I travel 50 weeks in a year, only 2 weeks spent at home. That led to a relationship breakdown because we are not communicating enough and we are focusing too much on our careers and not our relationship. So the key takeaway is have an open communication together with your partner and come up together a common list of goals in which you want to achieve together as a team, as a family. Yep.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your story you just shared with us, because that is the key point, that we need to realize some of our faults or why things went wrong. Is very big key, because sometimes we want to throw the blame on the other person. And when we throw the blame to the other person, we are not accepting our own responsibility of what went wrong. And when we now enter into another relationship, we continue where we stopped. But if we realize our fault, it has to be 50-50 sometimes, whatever goes wrong in relationship. So when we now realize and assess our fault, and then we find a solution to it, then the place we are moving on, the life will be better for you, for your new wife, and also for the children. And I think that is the key point. Yes, we all need money. Yes, we need to pursue our career. But family is more than building the career. Sometimes one of us might want to slow down for the other one. Because take, for instance, if husband is chasing career, wife is chasing career, what happened to the children? They left alone, doing their own thing. When somebody, either wife or husband, can be, they can slow down to make sure that they are supervising the children that God has blessed them with. And another thing is, even as you slow down, you can still continue developing by doing your home training, home learning, home studying, and preparing yourself so that when the children are raised to a certain age, you can continue where you pause. So it's not the end of the world. And both man and woman can do that. So I really appreciate that story because it covers it all. And I believe that is the message for everyone out there, that we can still have a good relationship. We can still have a good marital life. We can still build a healthy, wonderful family and still be wealthy and still be successful and still achieve our goals. You also said something as well. Couple needs to have a vision. They need to have a goals. They have to set their goals. Because when they have a vision, when they set their goals, even if any other uncertainty comes their way or any other circumstances, their focus will be on, it's just a setback. And we can set up to continue our journey. It's just a moment, for no condition is permanent. What we are facing now is just for a time, a short period. If we can come together as husband and wife, we can overcome it and then have our victory, which I think that is very important. Same thing about this finance again. Sometimes we don't prioritize, like you said. We have to prioritize what we need and what we want. And I believe you will agree with me as a marketer that sometimes, because of all the advertisements that is going on, we can be tempted to fall into what we want and not what we need. And what we need, what the family needs, what the children need, is more priority than what we want. So on these occasions, I want to say thank you so much for coming back. I know you had a trip. We started together a few weeks ago, and then you have to go for a trip, and then now you are back again. And I want to say thank you so much for this valuable delivery you have given unto us this morning. Thank you for your time as well. And thank you for
your
joining
time.
us.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. God bless. Bye.